Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Fan Show. I'm your host, Robert. As you all seen in my last video, I decided to create my own wrestling organization, and I did a draft of wrestling superstars from Ring of Honor, WWE, ROH, WWE's NXT, Pro Wrestling Noah, Evolve, PWG, and New Japan. I put together a 40-man roster along with 6 divas, which I just selected the 6 divas. I'm going to recap my roster and recap the pay-per-view list. Alright, that roster that I drafted is Randy Orton, CM Punk, AJ Styles, Sheamus, Kurt Angle, Austin Aries, Davey Richards, Mr. Anderson, Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, Eddie Edwards, Jay Briscoe, Mark Briscoe, Sting, Bully Ray, Devon, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Abyss, Ryback, R-Truth, Kofi Kingston, Kenta, Christopher Daniels, Shelton Benjamin, Sin Cara, Rey Mysterio Jr., Manic, Kenny King, Eric Young, Xavier Woods, and Chris Sabin, along with Ted DiBiase Jr., Curtis Axel, Homicide Hernandez, ACH Thaddeus Thomas, Adrian Neville, and Justin Gabriel. I have created, out of the whole roster, I've created 5 separate tag teams. The first tag team is Perfect Million, which is Curtis Axel and Ted DiBiase Jr. Second one, I recreated LAX, Homicide Hernandez. I created a tag team called High Flyers with ACH and Thaddeus Thomas. I've created Team 450, which is Adrian Neville and Justin Gabriel. And I've also created Team A Squared, which is Austin Aries and AJ Styles. The 12 pay-per-views, the first one is Royal Battle, second one is Bracket Buster, third one is March Mania, fourth one is Spring Brawl, fifth one is Over the Top, the sixth one is Breaking Rules, seventh one is Steel Series, eighth one is Global Warming, the ninth one is World War, 10th one is Hostile Showdown, the 11th one is Survival of the Fittest, and the 12th one is Final Countdown. The titles that I've created, the RWF, which stands for Roberts Wrestling Federation, the RWF World Title, the RWF TV title, the RWF No Limit title, the RWF World Tag Titles, and the RWF Women's title. My announce team is Mike Tenay, Jared Lawler, and JBL, and backstage I have good old JB, Jeremy Borash. For the first pay-per-view, I created a tournament to decide the World Heavyweight Champion. Well, at the pay-per-view Royal Battle, the first 2 matches will be the semifinals of the tournament, and then the main event will be the finals for the world title. That tournament was a 16-man tournament. First seed Randy Orton versus 16 seed Adam Cole. Randy Orton won. 8 seed Eddie Edwards versus 9 seed Austin Aries. Eddie Edwards, winner. The 5th seed AJ Styles versus the 12th seed Sting. AJ won. 4th seed Daniel Bryan versus the 13th seed Bully Ray. Daniel Bryan wins. 6th seed Davey Richard versus the 11th seed Kenta. Davey Richard wins. 3rd seed Kurt Angle versus 14th seed Sheamus. 3rd seed Kurt Angle wins. 7th seed Jay Briscoe versus the 10th seed Mr. Anderson. Jay Briscoe wins. 2nd seed CM Punk versus 15th seed Christopher Daniels. Winner CM Punk. The next round, we have the number 1 seed Randy Orton versus the number 8 seed Eddie Edwards. And winner, the diehard Eddie Edwards. We had 5th seed AJ Styles versus 4th seed Daniel Bryan. 4th seed Daniel Bryan wins. 6th seed Davey Richards versus the 3rd seed Kurt Angle, and winner, Davey Richards. 7th seed Jay Briscoe versus the 2nd seed CM Punk, winner, CM Punk. That brings us to a semifinal round, which is 8th seed Eddie Edwards versus the 4th seed Daniel Bryan, and then 6th seed Davey Richards versus the 2nd seed CM Punk. At Royal Battle, the The first match on the card is the semifinal match, CM Punk versus Davey Richards. Second match is the semifinal match, Daniel Bryan versus Eddie Edwards. Third match on the card, which is the women's title in the championship scramble, which puts Natalya, Gail Kim, Velvet Sky, Mickie James, and Mischief. Third titles for the TV title, which is Roderick Strong versus Kenta. Fifth match is for the World Tag Titles. We have Team Perfect Million versus LAX versus Team 450. We have Sting versus Sheamus. We have the No Limit title on the line. We have Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels. We have a fatal four-way for #1 contender for the world title at Bracket Buster. In that four-way, it's going to be Randy Orton versus AJ Styles versus Jay Briscoe versus Kurt Angle. And obviously your main event will be the winner of the two semifinal matches for the world title. Let's go over the pay-per-view now. Royal Battle, #1 match. We have semifinal match. We have CM Punk versus Davey Richards. CM Punk comes out first. As CM Punk is in the ring, we go to the back for an interview with JB, an interview with Davey Richards. Davey's talking about his match. His best friend Eddie Edwards is standing there. Eddie starts to talk about his match. Davey is confident he's going to be able to beat CM Punk. Eddie's not so confident he can beat Eddie Edwards. Davey and Eddie have a word back and forth, and Davey tells Eddie, "We are the American Wolves. We're going to win this, you and me, finals for the world title." He kind of pumps Eddie up, and Davey tells Eddie, if you like, Eddie can be in his corner. Davey will be in Eddie's corner. Eddie will be in Davey's corner for their matches. So Davey Richards comes out with Eddie Edwards in tow. Eddie's in Davey's corner throughout the match. And the winner and the first finalist for the world title is CM Punk. CM Punk wins with an Anaconda Vice. He's able to beat Davey with the Anaconda Vice. Before Eddie could get in the ring and get the referee, Davey taps out. Second semifinal match, we have Daniel Bryan versus Eddie Edwards with Davey Richards in Eddie's corner. And the winner, and the one to face CM Punk in the main event for the world title, we have Eddie Edwards. As Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards are in the ring together celebrating, Daniel Bryan attacks them both and just walks all the way through the crowd. So we'll never know what that's going to entail down the line, but we have our main event set. We have CM Punk versus Eddie Edwards for the world title. The third women's title in the championship scramble. So it was Natalya versus Gail Kim versus Velvet Sky versus Mickie James versus Mischief. Gail Kim is your first ever women's champion. TV title was on the line. We had Roderick Strong versus Kenta. And the back and forth, obviously, anybody who knows these two guys knows that's going to be a pretty darn good match. And the first ever TV champion is going to be Roderick Strong. Tag titles were on the line. Team Perfect Million versus LAX versus Team 450. To recap those teams for you, Perfect Million is Ted DiBiase Jr. and Curtis Axel. LAX is Homicide and Hernandez. And Team 450 is Adrian Neville and Justin Gabriel. Adrian Neville is formerly known as Pac when he was on the independent circuit. And the first ever tag team champions, Perfect Million. Next match on the card, we had Sheamus versus Sting. The Icon Sting wins that. The No Limit title was on the line. Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels. Samoa Joe wins after a muscle buster, 1, 2, 3. Daniels attacks Samoa Joe. AJ Styles runs out to try to help Samoa Joe, and Daniels ends up attacking them both. So you never know what that could set up down the line. AJ's trying to help Joe out, and Daniels attacks them both. Fatal four-way, #1 contender. We have Randy Orton versus AJ Styles versus Jay Briscoe versus Kurt Angle. And the winner and #1 contender at Bracket Buster, Randall Keith Orton. Randy Orton, #1 contender. Alright, main event. World title on the line. We have the diehard Eddie Edwards versus best in the world CM Punk. And the first ever RWF World Champion is Eddie Edwards. So that sets up Eddie Edwards versus Randy Orton at Bracket Buster. This pay-per-view came to you from Boston, Massachusetts. Alright, the second pay-per-view of the second pay-per-view I'm going to cover. It's called Bracket Buster. It's going to be from Phoenix, Arizona. There are 3 matches on this card that came out of the bracket for the world title leading into Royal Battle. First match on this card, we have Ryback versus Abyss. Women's title on the line, we have champion Gail Kim versus Mickie James. TV title on the line, we have champion Roderick Strong versus Kenny King. Tag titles, we have Perfect Million versus LAX. We have CM Punk versus Jay Briscoe, which is a one from the bracket. We have Daniel Bryan versus Kenta. We have a No Limit triple threat match for the No Limit title. We have champion Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. We have the second of 3 matches from the bracket. We have Davey Richards versus Kurt Angle. And our main event for the world title, we have champion Eddie Edwards versus Randy Orton. If you remember, that was a second round match from the bracket in which Davey beat Randy and going to the semifinals. Alright, Ryback versus Abyss. Abyss wins. The women's title on the line. Champion Gail Kim retains her title versus Mickie James. TV title, Roderick Strong is able to retain versus Kenny King. In the tag team title match, Perfect Million versus LAX. With help from Randy Orton, Perfect Million is able to retain the tag titles. After they retain, Randy, DiBiase, and Curtis Axel are standing in the ring. Randy starts cutting a promo how Fortune is going to walk away with the title, all the titles tonight they're involved with. So we just had a faction created. We have Fortune, Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase Jr., and Curtis Axel. We have CM Punk versus Jay Briscoe. CM Punk wins. We have Daniel Bryan versus Kenta. And kind of an upset for the brackets. Daniel Bryan had won this. Kenta wins this one. No Limit title on the line. A triple threat match. Champion Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. We have a new No Limit champion. The phenomenal AJ Styles. Of course, after the match, the continuation of the beatdown by Christopher Daniels on AJ Styles. Joe actually starts beating down AJ now. So AJ tried to save Joe the first pay-per-view. Now here Joe's beating him down along with Daniels. So we'll see what that's going to move on to when we go into March Mania. Sub-main on the card, we have Davey Richards versus Kurt Angle. Another rematch. This time we had Kurt Angle winning, and we had it beat down by Davey Richards. Main event for your world title, which is also a redo match from the bracket. We have world champion Eddie Edwards versus Randall Orton. Just like in this rematch, just like in the first match, winner and still champion, the diehard Eddie Edwards. Well, I hope you all enjoy these 2 pay-per-views. And I hope you all enjoy where I'm taking this right now. It looks like the next 2 pay-per-views will be March Mania and Spring Brawl. And hopefully I'll have those to you here in a couple days. Like I said in the first episode, this is episode 2 of 7, the first episode, which is kind of the preview for all this. I'm going to try to have all this done before WWE SummerSlam. And then I will have my preview for SummerSlam, and probably the review for SummerSlam over on Pro Wrestling Pulse. And then I'll probably start a new one after that, and kind of maybe change it up a little bit, redraft. I want you, the wrestling fans out there, to either, comment, do you like the idea, do you dislike the idea? Is there a match you want to see based on my roster? Is there a storyline you want to see? Is there something, should I keep Eddie Edwards as champion for all 12 pay-per-views? Should I let him drop it to somebody and maybe Sheamus be champion? I want you, the fans, to give me some feedback and comments and whatnot. I know I've seen a couple different things like this online where they, one of my seen they did just like, if you were the commissioner, you could pick 30 guys. So I took that idea and kind of expanded it. I know J-Man and I over the years have done all kinds of things like this. I know I'd see a comment he had made that he's going to do something similar. So I'm hoping that, You can see different ideas of what we wrestling fans and what we on YouTube like to see. Getting some of the independent guys that maybe WWE fans have never seen before. Maybe we'll get you guys to look them up and see what they're all about. Probably one of the biggest independent guys on my roster. Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards, Roderick Strong, Kenta. A lot of people don't know who that is. If you don't know who Kenta is, look it up on YouTube. Look it up in New Japan. He is quite the little wrestler. He actually brought Davey Richards to Ring of Honor. So, if you don't know who Manic is, formerly known as TJ Wilson, formerly known as Suicide in TNA. Adam Cole, he's an upstarter in Ring of Honor. You should see some big things from him. Obviously, Jay and Mark Briscoe are normally a tag team. Here lately, Jay's been a world champion, and then both of them kind of going out. Mark looks like he's coming back to Ring of Honor. So, I got a different variety of people here. I got the Randy Orton, the CM Punk, the Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle. The big names, the Stings, but I also have, the Roderick Strongs, Kenny Kings, the Chris Sabins, the Ted DiBiase, ACH, Adrian Neville, formerly known as Pac, Justin Gabriel. So I got the wide variety here. I know I got some storyline ideas I want to do. I got some, if you think about these pay-per-view names and look back over those, in 3/4 the way through this, there's some going to be some interesting things going on right then. There's a big faction that's getting ready to be formed that'll eventually take over. So, kind of like a Aces and Eights deal, kind of like a Scum deal. So, I got something forming like that, and then I'm gonna basically form it. They're gonna do their thing. They're just gonna blow it up. So, hopefully you enjoy what I'm doing. Please leave some comments. Give me some, some storyline ideas if you have it, whatnot. I will tell you one thing about the RWF, Roberts Wrestling Federation. You will not see spoilers for my pay-per-views on YouTube, besides this channel. You will not go to any wrestling site and see spoilers for my pay-per-view. Guarantee it. There will not be spoilers out there. Unlike at WWE, nobody will be able to go through my card and pick my winners before I do. Well, thanks for watching and have a great night.